We're going to start by making our sauce, so add a little bit of canola or vegetable oil to the bottom of a pan. To that, we're going to add some garlic, about a clove or so, thinly sliced. Some shallots, about a whole shallot, also thinly sliced. And some pieces of ginger. I'm just going to let this sweat down a little bit. I got my pan set at around medium low. We'll cook this down for about 5 minutes or so. I'm just going to add just a pinch of salt just to help the juices come out. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes or so. The ingredients are nicely sweated out, but they're not starting to brown or anything like that. Add in our chicken stock, and just do about enough to cover it. Don't need too much. That should be good. Okay, we're going to bring this to a boil, and then we're going to let it simmer for around 25 minutes. All right, so we've reached a boiling point. Just going to move us to this back burner here, and keep it at sort of a gentle simmer for the next 25 minutes. Alright, so while that works, we'll start on our fish. We have a couple pieces of cod loin here, and two of us are just going to lightly season it with some salt. A little bit of ground white pepper, not too much. You could use black pepper if you don't have white pepper, but this just helps it look a little bit nicer. It's a white fish, so a black pepper might stand out a little bit. I'm going to use some paprika. You can use whatever you'd like, but this is a nice little flavor here. And then some instant powder. This is really very much the same thing, more or less, as all-purpose flour. It just doesn't clump up quite so easily, so this will help us get a little bit nice sort of brown layer, nice presentation when we go to cook this in the saute pan. Both sides here, make sure all sides of the fish are happy. Always kind of season from above so that you get a more even application. Okay. Just make sure that we're all balanced there. Good. The flour is not as essential on the second side just because you're not really showing people that side. It's more to help get a nice crust on the presentation side. But better to be in the habit of doing everything the same. Alright, as you can see, I've got two non-stick pans here. I always think it's a good idea to cook fish in a non-stick pan. I'm not the only one. Even some of the world's best cooks don't bother with regular pans. It's just more trouble than it's worth. Gordon Ramsay says so. Thomas Keller says so. Eric Ripert, who is universally regarded as one of the best seafood chefs in the world, would also recommend you do the same. So who am I to argue with them? I'll argue with a lot of people, but I'm not going to argue with them about how to cook fish. So we want to make sure this is nice hot pan in both cases. I'm only using two because I'm cooking several different pieces of fish. So we'll let this heat up, not quite to the point of smoking, but not far off either. And then again, with some vegetable oil, it's better to use that than the butter. The butter will kind of burn. And it will also have a tendency to make your fish a little soggy when you cook it. And some people like the flavor of that. I don't like the texture of it, so what I would recommend if you like the flavor of it is to start it in the oil, and then once the doneness is the way you want it, or slightly before that point, then add the butter in as a flavoring agent and not as a cooking agent. Alright, our pan is good and hot. I'm going to lower this just a little bit, just so it doesn't get out of control, but always going to start with a nice hot pan. And our fish now. I'm going to start, again, the presentation side goes down first, and always lay a weight. You should hear this nice sizzle. If you don't, your pan's not hot enough yet. Wait for it. Two pieces at once. Lay your fish away from you so that your hands don't get burned. There's a lesson you learn once, but not twice. Kind of gently press this in. Move it around the pan, make sure everybody gets good coating, and then leave it alone. Do not touch this. When your fish is ready, it will be very obvious visually. A, it won't stick to the bottom of the pan. It's a non-stick pan, but everything sticks when it's that cold. But the bottom will cook in a nice even layer. And then you'll start to see the inside of the fish, the very bottom layer, so will start to turn opaque. And as it continues to cook, more and more of that opacity will rise up the fish. In this case, it's going to take roughly 3 minutes or so. 2 to 3 minutes on the first side. Of course, while that's going, I'm just going to add some garlic and some shallot, garlic and some ginger to our pan here. And let that get happy. We're going to cook the rest of this dish in real time. You'll notice in the back corner our sauce is still simmering away here. Make sure not to let this garlic burn. If you don't like doing all this at the same time, you can break this up into multiple tasks. Probably recommend that your first time doing this. Okay, it's been about 3 minutes. We're going to check on our fish. This guy is impressive. I'm going to move this over here. Okay. You can see a nice little color there. Okay, good color there as well. Okay, perfect. This is going to only need about 2 minutes on this side, so I'm going to add some pea shoots over here. Get this one out of the way. I'm just going to wilt these down. Nice spring vegetables. I had some in my garden. That's where the idea for this came from. I didn't have quite like to cook with, so I went to America's Favorite Garden, aka the grocery store, and got some more of those. I spent about 1 minute on the fish. This is going to cook down pretty quick. Alright, how do we know when our fish is done? Overcooked fish is gross, undercooked fish is not very good for you. Stick a metal skewer in the middle, count to about 5. Take it out, put it against your hand. It's warm, it's not hot. That means it's ready. Alright, if it was cold, it's not ready. If it's hot, it's probably overcooked. Take this out here, transfer it to the dish. This is so good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's warm. That's on the verge of the pot, so let's make sure we don't overcook that. Turn our pan off and the pan off. Like any protein, a fish should continue to rest for a few minutes after you cook it. Okay, we'll move our dude over here. This is our... We just want to kind of wilt these, which are almost there. Don't really want to cook them a little bit, just kind of want to wilt them. Probably could have used a slightly bigger pan for this amount, but hey, what can you do? So you add a touch of soy sauce. Not much, this stuff is powerful. Okay, maybe a little more. You can always add it, but it's hard to take away. Definitely should have had a bigger pan. Make sure you're not causing the fire here. Clean that up later, but just don't get it away from the heat. While that goes, I'm going to take a pan with a strainer. I'm going to strain our sauce. Get this olive out of the way. And this looks pretty good. Now take this off. Okay, the final step to our sauce. I have some little sliced shiitake mushrooms. You can add as much or as little as you like. Okay. And I'm going to add some scallions, sliced on the diagonal, so they're nice and pretty. That's good. Okay. And we can leave that and start to plate up. All right, let's plate up. Starting with, we have a little ring mold in the center of our dish just to keep things nice and tidy. Let me just use my hands. Start with a layer of our pea shoots. Pressed in. Nice little circular bed of our pea shoots. Remove this. On top of that, we will add our cod. And around that, our sauce. And a little bit of the and then just as a garnish, have a little of this lemon confit. Little cubes of lemon. Nice bright flavor. And there you have it.